So let's talk Mirror Reaper. So what made you want to actually play this record in full? Because it's such a long undertaking.
Mostly because Eric got mad at us that we were touring without him for a...
No, I did not.
He's laughing. It's not funny. I don't know what's
It
so
wasn't
funny.
when he was mad at us. That's for sure.
No, I think we were just... we toured the first half quite a bit, and as time went on, it was like, well, we haven't really played the entire song. We did it one time at Roadburn. It's like it'd kind of be a shame to not do that.
I think the way that it was received by everyone in general was so kind of overwhelming. We were not expecting it, and when that happened, all of a sudden it was like, well, maybe people would want to hear the whole thing instead of just us playing the first half, which is what we've been doing for the last year.
In terms of, actually writing the record, what was that like? It must have obviously been quite hard.
It definitely took sort of a life of its own at a certain point. We had a lot of sort of preconceived ideas of what it was gonna do, and most of that didn't end up happening, which is kind of funny. So at some point it actually became one song. It was originally not going to be one song. So it actually was pretty organic, I think. Okay. More so than even a lot of other songs that maybe you and I have ever written.
It was interesting too because like we worked on this sort of 20-minute ambient chunk, and then these guys sort of suggested after the fact that I sing some back and forth vocals with Dylan when we go back in the heavy part, and then they added the outro ambient part, and then I did stuff there, so that sort of grew, and I did all that and being in the studio with these guys for a while before ever hearing the whole first chunk of the song. Mm-hmm. So then when I first got the first rough mix, I hadn't heard the whole first half or the whole first 60%, and I was just like, wow, this is so killer. It's the album could have just been that first 49 minutes, and it would have been a great record. But then the fact that it goes in this completely different direction, that I got to have some part shaping was really cool, I think.
For you, was it quite a cathartic process? Because obviously it deals a lot with grief and the idea of death and things like that.
I think that when Adrian died, we had probably written a third of it at most, and that was all pretty rough, I think. And when he died, I think that there was this kind of point when you and I were both like, oh shit, is this like a disrespectful thing if we move forward with this and keep writing at this? Like, maybe we should just kind of just let it end. I think there were some moments when it was cathartic. I think every time we play it, I wouldn't say I feel like I elevate to some different plane of I wouldn't say that, but I think that there's times when it kind of does give me a little and it just makes me think about I don't know, memories of friends. When friends die, you memories of them pop into one's head, and that can be kind of sad sometimes, I suppose. Mm-hmm.
The part that Adrian sings on in the album, we consciously shorten that live and skip it basically because he's not here. Every time we skip that section of it, I'm always reminded where it's oh yeah, we're skipping that section, because he's dead, which is sad, But I think that at this point, whether it's cathartic or therapeutic or distracting, mm-hmm. or whatever it is, it serves some sort of purpose, and it's really flattering that other people seem to connect with that. Our minds every time it happens, but there's a phenomenon of people sort of coming up to us after we play or writing an email about their dad who died 4 months ago, or anyone, relatives dying, and that somehow that this album has affected them in some way surrounding that, which is that's cathartic, I guess.
Do you feel that maybe Mirror Reaper is a kind of a conduit for people to process grief, and it makes it easier?
I like to think that it could be. Aerial Ruin has a record, Valleys of the Earth, I was going through a real rough patch in my life, and he gave it to me at a show somewhere in Portland.
Samothrace show, yeah.
And I think I got really drunk that night, forgot that he gave it to me. And maybe like 6 months later, I was going through that bag, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is that Aerial Ruin CD. I forgot I had it. And I listened to it straight for like 3 months, and I just couldn't turn it off. I was like, this is like the best thing ever. And it was so good because I was just right headspace for it, and I didn't want to listen to anything else. And I think it like bummed me out even more. Like it was throwing me into this like really weird hole of depression. Thanks a lot, Eric.
Well, I think music's very, you can mourn with music, and you can sort of experience emotions and channel it in ways that you can't do in other senses. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's something that taps into something sort of unspoken that is very tied in with sort of emotions and the farther reaches of the mind and stuff. So I think that when a piece of music can help people connect with that, that's a really cool thing.